Hi there, I'm Stephanie Sage. Welcome to the Stephanie Sage Show. Today for my episode 9, I have the wonderful Keith Custer. He is the founder and CEO of Ripplenet, or the Ripple.net, which is a charitable organization that helps turn things that you don't want anymore into money for charities. So it's a very, very worthy cause. Keith and his wife, Ronne, wanted to be the type of people who really wanted to make a difference while finding a way to involve other people who want to do the same thing. The Ripplenet's purpose is to help as many people as possible in a variety of ways that will make a real impact on society. The world is a really tough place right now, so I think it's more important than ever that we spread the love of giving and do what we can to help our fellow man. And that's exactly what the Ripplenet does. And it's just a wonderful charity. So I'm going to bring him on now, and he can fill you guys in on more about Ripplenet, what they do, and how you can get involved. Hi, Keith.
Hey, Stephanie, that wasn't my bio. I'm a photographer. No, I'm joking. Thank you for the introduction.
Yeah,
it is
sure.
a pleasure to see you again and to be on the show. So
thank you for joining me.
Yeah. So what do you want to talk about?
Well, I'm just curious as to, how did you guys create Ripple.net? How did you get the idea? How did you form a business plan? How did it all come together?
So do you ever look at industries and you have no idea how they really run, but you just think that maybe you could be an expert in that and like, they should do it this way? Mm-hmm. Well, for a long time, I kind of looked at charity that way. There was always a feeling of wanting to help in my heart. But a lot of times I felt like I was kind of left on the outside, maybe because I didn't have enough money in my account to write a big check, or I had a really busy schedule, or I worked the weekend, so I couldn't volunteer or go to this, event. Or maybe as a younger adult, I might not have felt as much confidence to be in a room full of people in suits. For a long time, I don't think I owned my first suit until I was maybe 23, 24 years old. So going to a gala seemed kind of intimidating. So I'm sitting here thinking like, okay, I want to help, but I need a different cup to pour from. And so as I would consume things and accumulate things, obviously we kind of go through an accumulation process and then a purging process. Maybe once, twice a year, we see these garage sales and spring cleaning things. And we would always just drop good stuff off at, the Goodwill or some sort of a thrift store. But I started thinking, man, there's so many other causes that I care so much more about. I wish that I could just sell this bike and say, hey, buddy, you give $50 to this church, you can have this bike. And I thought we could do that. There's sites that are practically geared to do this. They're just missing that one aspect of involving a nonprofit. So I said, why don't we do this? So I started, I spent about 13 years actually in the car business. So a far cry from charity, but actually, I was involved with the leadership team with our locations. And I really felt a massive responsibility to the public that we serve. And I feel like any business model should, if they want to go far, they better start looking out for people beyond just themselves and their profits and their customers. Obviously, you have to look at those things, but you want to look at the community too and really grow roots. So I threw some feelers out and started running some numbers. I said, hey, we can do this. So we took a massive leap of faith, talked with my wife about it for a long time. I was doing great in the car business. So to step away from the money that I was making, there was a major concern, but it was very just almost supernatural the way things had turned out. Money started coming out of nowhere. Things started being provided for us, financially in really odd ways so that we could continue on this path. And it was just such a motivating experience, but humbling as well.
That's awesome. I mean, I love, I'm a think outside the box kind of person. And that's, I think, where a lot of creativity comes from, and finding other ways to do things. You don't have to necessarily follow what the industry does, and create a new way of helping people however you can.
Well, that's it. What do they say? Necessity is the mother of invention, right? So a lot of studies are out. That's one of the first things I started doing before I decided if I was going to pull the trigger on this, to see if my assumptions matched what the statistics and all the pros in this industry were saying. And what a lot of the stats and pros say is that traditionally, it's older generations that give more. They've already kind of established a lot of the stepping stones on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and have kind of achieved that self-actualization. They've had a home, they've raised their kids, they've provided food and shelter for their family. Well, then they start to give back. I believe a lot of that, but I also believe that there is just a lot of preferential treatment for certain generations. Say, hey, you have the money, let's go do this gala and bid on these cool, auction items. Or, hey, you're able-bodied, why don't you go out here and go clean up this park? But that really excludes a lot of people. I firmly believe that the amount of money in your pocket, or the amount of ability in your body, does not determine the amount of goodwill in your heart. You can be broke and still want to help people out.
Right, exactly.
You can be in great shape and not want to help people out. That doesn't matter. You just have to give people different ways to provide. So let's say somebody is able-bodied, but they're too busy to go volunteer, and maybe they don't have enough money in their account to write a check. Well, maybe they need a good deal on a washer or dryer, but they can't go to Home Depot and buy one there. Well, you can go on the Ripple and buy one for a much better deal. Maybe somebody uploaded from a top loader to a front loader when they got their tax check. Instead of putting it on the curb, they put it on the Ripple.net and say, hey, you make $100 donation to Special Olympics or one of our participating charities, then you can have this washer and dryer. So now that person who can't volunteer, doesn't have the money to write a check to a charity, just needs a washer and dryer, made a philanthropic impact. Not to mention, kept that washer and dryer out of the dump, allowed somebody else to make a charitable donation. Most importantly, that post put a spotlight on a great organization while generating money for them. So that's the ripple that we talk about, hence the name. We want to take that one act of kindness and impact.
Let it ripple out.
Exactly.
Well, plus you're also saving stuff from going into the landfills. When we do hoarder cleanouts, and a lot of people have a lot of stuff, trust me, it always kind of pains my heart to look at, we'll fill up maybe 4 or 5 dumpsters at one house. And then I'm thinking of all of that stuff going into the landfill. And then I'm thinking, we're just one company at one house in America. How many other 4 or 5 dumpsters today are filling up the landfills? You know what I mean? It's just the environment. It helps with recycling and doing something meaningful and purposeful with stuff that you just don't want anymore or don't need or what have you.
Totally. And one thing that I'm really digging right now is seeing a lot of posts on TikTok and Instagram, and even on LinkedIn and all the social media, really, is a term called upcycling. A friend of mine, actually, she found this old dresser. And it's so funny because it reminds me of a dresser still over at my mom's house that she's had since I was a little kid. And she took the handles off and put like this kind of what's it called? Like opaque or like antique type paint on it, and then put like a grayish white paint, and just made this beautiful dresser. I mean, just completely breathed new life into it. Something that somebody would be easily would pay $500-$600 for.
Wow.
And these are the things that we see on the curb. And it's like, just because it's not serving you anymore doesn't mean that it can't serve somebody else. And that's the thing, is with a lot of these charities that we work with, that's what they do, is they'll take in furniture like that. They're really not looking for, the most trendy types of furniture. They want to help somebody that's maybe come out of incarceration or homelessness furnish their first home after they've worked a program.
Right,
because
exactly.
How disheartening can that be? You were living underneath the bridge, you got yourself together, you go work a program, and you get your first apartment, and here you go, you're moving into an empty box.
Right, exactly. Or there's also the organizations like Sheffield Place, and I can't think of the name of there's several where like women who have been homeless with their children, maybe recovering from drug and alcohol problems, but they sometimes get their own apartments in these buildings that they've rehabbed, and they don't have a lot of things. I'm sure they need stuff all the time, like kitchen items, furniture, decorating. And I just, I think about how much most people have a lot of stuff, and it just sits there in a house and doesn't get used, maybe gets recycled or something with, maybe redecorating or what have you. But there's a lot of people that I think every quarter, everybody should go through their basement, their house, their closets, and really reevaluate. Do I need this? Why am I holding on to this? And one of the things I always tell people, especially people when their kids are on their own, your kids don't want your stuff, because a lot of parents just hold on to stuff in the basement, in the attic, whatever, thinking that their kids are going to go to their kids someday. But, by that time, their kids usually have their own stuff, you know what I'm saying? But they could be doing something meaningful with this, through your organization and helping people.
Absolutely. And, to your point, a single mother with 3 kids, I grew up with a single mother, just me and my sister. And I remember countless times where she would have to make those tough decisions. Am I going to get this new coat, or are we going to buy groceries? Or, and I didn't firmly understand what she was going through as a single mother at that time. But I mentioned that to really love on 2 particular charities, like Single Mom KC, they have a boutique where they'll accept not old clothes that maybe, you've changed a size, you went up or went down, and maybe you want to upcycle those to one of those charities, but they maybe don't take weight equipment or a treadmill or a refrigerator. And so sometimes people will bring those things to those thrift stores and say, hey, I've got this refrigerator. Will you guys take it? Sorry, we're running a boutique. We can't take in your old fridge or your lawnmower, but you can sell it on the Ripple and benefit somebody else in the community. And that money will still make it to our organization, so we can continue to reach single mothers. Or like with Flourish Furnishings, they are the one that I had mentioned. They take in couches and old beds and kitchen utensils is something they need a ton of. We're going to be doing a drive for them here very soon. But they don't take in old clothing. Wow. That's not what they do. You can then turn around, sell that on the site, still make the exact same impact.
I know with the year of COVID, when everybody wasn't going anywhere, I walk in my closet and I'm like, I don't even wear my clothes anymore. Most of my clothes, they're just hanging in there, and I'm sure I'm not alone. And even now, I don't think we've gotten back to where we're dressing up like maybe we used to, or I don't know. Everybody seems to be more casual these days. So I know I have some clothes I need to get rid of.
Well, and we're so much more than just being able to sell, clothes and furniture and, old bikes and things like that. We've got some really cool features that also allow for small businesses in the community to get engaged. So probably the most popular sites that people would be familiar with would be like Groupon or Angie's List or Home Advisor, where companies can put out a coupon that says, hey, you buy this $100 coupon, we'll take 10% off of your roof. So they're not going to give away a free roof, but they may save somebody $600-700 if they buy that coupon. So this way that roofing company can keep their crews busy through the slow times, right? Or, hairdressers, massage therapists. We see these coupons all the time. Well, we can do these on the Ripple as well. The difference is the price of the coupon is what goes to charity. So now you buy that $100 coupon that maybe a roofer puts up, and it benefits, one of the 30 charities that they select. Now you're holding this coupon. So when the salesperson comes out, they write up the bid and you say, hey, I'm saving 10%. Now on a roof, that could be $6,000-7,000, could be $1,000 savings, right? Roofs are expensive. Right. Now they can also, apply that to maybe an upgrade in roofing quality or the shingle, maybe upsell gutters or some other service. It's a great opportunity not only to benefit the consumer so they get more from their purchase, but the cool part is they also get to brand the company gets to brand themselves as a roofing company that cares. They have that social responsibility. So when people are looking at their bids, they can say, hey, they were all nice. All the prices are comparable, but this roofing company actually gives back to veterans or advocates for domestic violence. That can be the tipping point. And then it allows, to really bring that community together. Oh, hey, who did your roof? Oh, it's a really nice, company. They did a great job. And the money went back to help out adults with developmental disabilities or whoever. So it allows us to get as creative as we'd like. You're leveraging a paying customer, but you're also allowing yourself to market and brand your company in a great light. Who doesn't want to do business with other businesses that are giving back to great causes?
Yeah, I just had a comment from Judy Bob. She's watching, and she mentioned Healing House. So, are they on your list?
So, funny story: Jesse Ibarra and Bobby Joe Reed with Healing House and Michael Limata. We've been in talks on working with them. I love their organization. I've toured it. I felt the passion down there. Healing House, I want to get you guys in. So, we need to circle back around, but I've got some friends over there. They stay so dang busy. It's hard to keep up with them, but they are a phenomenal organization. And I completely agree. You get to see the chat. I can't see. That was, you said Judy Bob.
I know there's a way to bring it across. Show. I think I hit show. I'm still learning this. Yeah, there's Judy Bob. Can you see?
Oh yeah, I see.
Yeah, there she is.
Yes.
Hi, Judy.
You're right, Judy. If you talk to anybody from Healing House today, you let them know I've got everything ready. We're waiting for their platform agreement. Something, and maybe this could help lead into something that we explain about all the charities that we list on our site. We have a lot of people applying to be listed. There's something that a lot of people didn't know. I surely didn't know this going into starting the Ripple, but there's over nearly 13,000 nonprofits just in the metropolitan area.
Wow,
according
that's
to
a lot.
Nonprofit Connect. Yeah, according to Nonprofit Connect, there's roughly about 12,800 charities just in KCK and KCMO.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I have met with over 100 of them. And so before we list any of our charities on the site, I want to make sure that everything's on the up and up, obviously, tour their facility, feel the passion, make sure that they are staying active and in good standing with the state and things like that. And a lot of these charities I met with, I was unpleasantly surprised that those things didn't check out. I was very blown away. And I had been warned by some friends in the nonprofit sector that, hey, not everybody that says they're a nonprofit is on the up and up. So I said, okay, coach me. How do I make sure that these people are good? So everybody that's listed on the Ripple.net has a active and good standing status with the state, either Kansas or Missouri. They're a 501c3 because anything that's purchased off of our site gets a tax receipt. So they have to be a 501c3 so that we can draft that tax receipt for them immediately. So anybody selling anything gets receipted right away as long as they have Wi-Fi connection. But they also have, a current updated status on all their social media. They've actually got activities and everything going on. So I'm very
you're very
proud
particular
of all of the charities that we've got listed. They are top notch.
Yeah. So, how many years have you been in? How many years ago did you found Ripple?
So we are about 32 months in.
Oh wow! So you're pretty new.
Yeah. It's one of those things. I feel like I'm aging in dog years. It hasn't been that long. But it feels like it's been longer.
Welcome to being an entrepreneur.
Right.
Yeah. I think sometimes when you're starting out, it just takes a while. You've got to be dedicated and show some perseverance, because I think just like any business starting out, a charity is probably the same. It takes a while to get out there, let people know who you are, what you do, and get a following. So you've brought on, you said you have 500 charities now?
No, we've got 30 charities.
Oh, 30 charities. Okay.
Actually, unfortunately, one of our executive directors, I don't want to put their business out too much, but his come down with a terminal illness and will be dissolving their organization. So we are down to 29.
Yeah.
So we are looking to fill our kind of justice reform, recidivism, advocacy. So anybody that is working in the nonprofit sector, we really need some representation there. There was a couple other areas that we're wanting to get, some more representation. We like to have a pretty robust amount of representation. We don't want to oversaturate it and throw every single nonprofit that represents homelessness. Not that homelessness isn't, a very important issue to address, but we just like to have about 3 or 4 of each.
Right.
So sex trafficking, mental
Yes.
illness, veterans, first responders, animal advocacy. We could use a few more representatives for that clientele.
So, yeah, and I need to talk to you once we're done about, Sage getting involved. So I can learn more about that. I mean, is pretty much any company or individual welcome to participate? Or do you have to go through like a screening process with you, or how does that work?
Yeah, so we have an integrity clause on our platform agreement and our actually on our site. So obviously anybody that's selling any retail items that may be hate-filled or X-rated, things like that, they just don't align with us. That's not going to fly on the site.
Yeah.
But as long as it is a reputable business, you're operating with within the guidelines of the state requirements, then yeah, this feature doesn't work as easily on like a buy one get one free sandwich at a deli. These are going to need to be kind of higher dollar items, and when I say higher dollar, I'm just meaning like maybe $25 and up. We've had a few people post some $3-4 items, and it doesn't work as well like on the couponing side. So, but yeah, pretty much any business that could traditionally be couponed. Obviously, some industries are higher regulated. We're not going to have financial advising or insurance agencies posting coupons, but just about any business.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a lot of our business is insurance based, but a lot of it's self-pay, most of the mold work or hoarding or biohazard. Well, sometimes that's also insurance, but yeah, I think we would be an excellent fit. And as we grow, we try to add on the charities that are important to us. But and like you mentioned in the very beginning, I think what's hard is that sometimes you just can't give what you want to give, and you're trying to give little amounts to all these different people. So I think your charity helps solve that. And that was your purpose, was to make it more impactful, even if you can't write a check for $10,000 or whatever.
Well, I really believe in in the purpose. If I had to boil it down to one thing, it would be to just get as many people involved in giving as possible. I mean, they talk about anybody who's given before realizes that the best gift is given to the giver. They call it the giver's glow. There's a ton of studies. Like I said, I really turned into a nerd about, nonprofit and studying everything I can get my hands on. And they talk about a lot of things that just giving can actually provide for somebody who's maybe dealing with depression. When you give, you get these serotonin and oxytocin and dopamine dumps that make you feel good, right? The same thing
for me.
Right. And those are the same things. A lot of times people will turn to the bottle or maybe take pills because they want to feel good. Well, we can actually give that away, right? And get that feeling. Same thing with social circles. Sometimes as we grow up and have kids, sometimes we don't hang out with our friends as much, and we can start to feel like, oh, I don't have the same amount of friends anymore. Well, when you volunteer or when you get involved in these things, you have that social circle. So getting involved in those sorts of things can really alleviate a lot of things that as a society we start to kind of not prioritize. Sometimes it's too late. It's kind of a gradual slide, right? Once we start missing out on our friends and feeling good every single day or week, and suddenly we start to get a little bit of a doom and gloom.
Well, I've talked to a lot of people, interviewing them to be on my show, or just what I read in the news and wherever, that there's more and more people. It's an epidemic of people who are feeling isolated, feeling depressed, dealing with anxiety, turning to drugs and alcohol. And I just, that's part of the reason I started my show, was to just be a source to provide inspirational stories, or learn about charities like yours, or just help people come together more and learn from each other. Because I think in these times are so crazy, that we need each other more than ever right now. And that's why I think that, your charity and other charities, or even just lending a hand and taking that time to try to get back. And it doesn't have to be financial. It can be just spending time with somebody, or making a phone call, or reaching out. You know what I mean? Or just having coffee with somebody. I mean, that's a form of giving too, giving of your time.
Yeah.
Taking time for people that need somebody more than ever.
Well, we never know the struggles that people are dealing with. So many times I've actually sat down with friends and say, oh my God, you're doing great, man. You got to be so excited about that new business that you've got going on. It just looks like you're blowing up, and you can just look in their eyes and they're not doing okay.
Yeah.
And you don't know. I lost a friend to suicide in the past 2 years. And honestly, grew up with him, and he was actually one of my best friend's little brothers. And it was something that I would have never guessed. The guy was a stud, just had the world by the you-know-what. And when I heard the news, I thought, no, it had to have been an accident. That couldn't have happened. But it's one of those things. How many conversations was he away from changing his mind?
I know.
Was it just that bad? What if somebody would have just called, or what if somebody, we will forget what people say, we'll forget what people do, but we don't forget how people make us feel. So somebody probably along the line unintentionally made him feel a certain type of way that he just couldn't get over, and probably just needed to be lifted out of that by somebody else.
Yeah, no, that is true. Watch your words, and also watch your thoughts, because your thoughts go out into the universe too, as well as when you speak out loud. In fact, I had a trainer I used to work with, and her brother committed suicide, I think a couple of years ago now. And it was because of what somebody said to him. And I'm sure it's accumulation and not just that, but I mean, that might've just pushed him over the edge, because he was already struggling. So I just always try to think to myself, be careful with what you say, because you don't know, that person may appear happy-go-lucky and you ruin their whole day and could cause them to go a direction maybe they wouldn't have went. Or maybe just showing some kindness to even a stranger, maybe that will change their whole day. Or, it's just trying to be kinder, I guess, as a society. I think people can be really cruel. That's for sure.
The way I try to look at it now is, God says we're supposed to be slow to anger, right? So I always see people get mad about the littlest things. Oh, so-and-so just didn't hold the door open for me.
Yeah, like, really?
Excuse me, and they blew right past me. I'm like, well, hold on. Think about it. What if that person just got diagnosed with cancer?
Yeah.
And they have to go they haven't told their family yet. Maybe they've got something very big going on in their head. Maybe they just found out that their kid is sick, or that their wife is leaving them. Maybe that person's really not a jerk. Maybe that person's not really racist or really, a chauvinistic whatever, or that she's really not, a bad person. Maybe she's really on the brink of losing her mind.
Yeah.
And maybe we can just say, okay, it's you don't have to say, excuse me. I feel for you.
Well, when I have something happen to me like that, like you're in the highway and I maybe cut somebody off, and I'm like, I always kind of go, sorry, didn't mean to do that. Then they're flipping me off or whatever. And we're all human. We make mistakes. And at the end of the day, like if somebody cuts me off, I'm not like just getting all mad. I just, what I am? I'm usually thankful I wasn't in a wreck. Is the first thing I'm thinking, and I just figure that person maybe had other stuff on their mind. They weren't paying attention like they should. I mean, we all make mistakes, and thank the Lord above, I wasn't in a wreck. I try to look at the positive side instead of getting all mad and ruining my day over them.
Maybe they're a single parent who is on their third job of the year because they keep getting letting go because they can't show up to work on time because their babysitter is clear across town, and they've got a lot of ground to cover. Like, I understand there's some idiots on the road. I spend a lot of time on the road. Maybe this is just maybe this is my coping mechanism, but I'll tell you, it works. Give people the benefit of the doubt that you're not the only one going through a struggle. Somebody else, there's a reason they're going 85. Maybe and sometimes I'll say a little silent prayer. They're about to get a speeding ticket and they'll learn and hopefully they don't hurt anybody.
Yeah, I know.
You know what? There's always a reason. And we have to remember that. Most of the time, people do want to try to do good, and maybe that person is just trying to be on time so they don't get fired. And maybe maybe I'm too forgiving, but it helps. It's better than getting mad at them and doing something.
Well, the thing is though, actually with what I was going over my show yesterday, this book that I recently read, and that's what he talked about, because when you let other people upset you with their actions, and then you come back and be nasty or mad or whatever, you're letting them control you when you do that, instead of just staying composed, and just keep staying within your comfort zone. You know what I'm saying? Where you just aren't reacting, because really at the end of the day, it's their issue, not yours. But it's your choice to respond and pull yourself into that negative energy.
Yeah. Well, and we would expect the same grace. If we said something really dumb in front of a room of really highly educated people, we would hope that they would have the grace to realize, well, you know what? He didn't spend 8 years at Harvard, and maybe they would help lift me up. And not, persecute me for not knowing the answer to something. They should have the insight to realize that, hey, this person hasn't traveled the same road. We all walk our own path. And as bad as some of us has had it, other people have had it worse. And we have to remember that. And we have to remember that, hey, would I want to be given that grace? We've all had a bad day. We've had that day where like, oh my gosh, I don't know how I'm going to make this month work. And imagine if somebody says something, maybe you don't hear it, maybe you're hard of hearing, maybe my eyesight is going bad. I squint a lot, and I swear, I think in the back of my head, I wonder if I'm giving people dirty looks sometimes. And maybe it could be something like, oh my God, Keith's a jerk. No, Keith's going blind. He just can't see that good, right?
Exactly.
There's always a reason. Maybe people just have a resting, frustrated face, but
or really like the joke with women, she has the BRS face or something. You just kind of have that look about you, but maybe you're not really that way, but people just judge you because you just have that look. Or
they're just in business mode. That's the thing. We have to be more forgiving, because everybody is going through things, and it's just something that it's a really interesting topic. I feel like it's such an easy tweak that could just get our society back on the right track. But it's so, what they say, like breeds like, so somebody doesn't hold the door open for you. Oh, that makes you mad. And then something goes wrong in an email, the deadline gets moved or something funny, and it just allows your day to spiral. But you have to look at it from, okay, wait a minute, is this going to free up time so I can do something else? Just it is, as we think, so it becomes, and we just have to switch that thinking up.
Well, like my mother is in failing health, and I have been her full-time caregiver for the last 2 or 3 weeks. And she had one of her therapists was over, checking on her. And I make my mother a blueberry high protein smoothie like every morning. And so this lady knocked over this purple, blueberry smoothie right onto, it's our house isn't even a year old yet, onto the carpet, like the whole thing. And she's like freaking out, trying to clean it up. And I'm like, no. She's like, I'll pay for the shampoo. But we got the spot out. And she thought, I guess I was just going to be really just mad and make them clean my carpet. And I told her, I said, you know what, with what we're going through as a family, that smoothie, it really doesn't matter at the end of the day, My mother is what matters right now. So a lot of it's just keeping, it's not the end of the world. We'll get it cleaned up. It's all good. So a lot of it's just keeping your perspective, and just trying to see the positive in things. And, and it's just, for me, I've learned a lot over this last year about, just the frequency of energy. So like I said earlier, your thoughts or what you say to other people into ripple, you talk about the ripple effect. So it can affect me sitting next to whoever I'm with in my house, my work, whatever. But it also goes out into the universe. So if all of us start being more positive, trying to live on a higher, friendlier frequency with kindness and love, that far outweighs the low negative energy of hate or anger and things like that. Does that make sense? If we could just keep raising that bar. It helps, not America, it helps Kansas City, it helps our state, it helps America and the world,
Well, totally. And it's one of those things that you can't be told. You can always say, oh, just, don't worry, be happy. Yeah, you can say that until you're blue in the face. But until you actually, engage in that, they say, involve me and I will understand. So if you're telling people, hey, you need to go out and do something that makes you feel good, well, once you go out and do that, then you'll feel better. And I'll kind of put this into context. I've been trying to teach my kids a little bit more like what you've been talking about frequency, and getting them involved in a bigger world, that it doesn't just revolve around them. There's so many other moving pieces that need your cooperation and need you to be ready to step up from time to time. And so that's something that's been really fun to do with the Ripples, to teach them about giving. As my kids are growing like weeds. So we've got a bag full of oh my gosh, 15 shoes that I swear they've worn a couple times. They're nice cleats and name brand, shoes.
Yeah.
But I told them, I said, hey, you guys need to go pick a few things out of your room that's still in good shape, and we're going to sell these on the Ripple. I'm going to have you guys pick out the charity. If you don't know what the charity is, I'm going to show you how to find out about it. And, they wanted to help out animals, wanted to help out homeless people. And the parent, it doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to guide them. I didn't have to make them pick out a charity. I'm just kind of showing them, okay, who do you, just pick one out. And they come in with actual good stuff. I thought, oh my God, they're going to bring in some half broken crowns. And you know what I mean?
Has to be some good stuff now.
You pick out things that you think other kids may need or want. And they did. And I'm like, yes, that's what it's about. And after we sold, actually, I've got it on video. I did a post on it a couple of days ago. When we just sold a microwave. I had an old microwave, still worked fine. I looked it up on Walmart. It was still selling for I don't know, $100 or something. And we sold it on the Ripple for $20. This girl was going off to college and she wanted it for her dorm or whatever. But I involved the kids in it. And you could just see them actually, I felt like their brain grew. What's the Grinch? Remember that day his heart grew 3 sizes?
Like the Grinch, his heart grew 3 sizes that day.
Yeah, I felt like my little Grinch kids just started realizing that they can make a difference, and helped out.
Well, I'm going to tell my daughter about this, because what she does with her kids, my grandkids are 7 and 8, and she makes them go through their toys and belongings every, I don't know, 3 months, 6 months, I don't know. And then they pick out decent stuff, but they just don't use it anymore, don't want it anymore. And they have to take it down and give it, probably, I don't know where they take it, have taken it, but to give it away for charity. But I will have them get on yours. And I think that would be a lot of fun for them. Like with your kids, is picking out where they want, the money from their donation to go to. And it's a very good learning lesson for them. And it builds that spirit of giving at a young age, just to start thinking that we all need to do our part to help people and do what we can.
Well, the 2 demographics I had in mind when we were having all this designed, I said, my mom's got to be able to use this site and my kids have to be able to use this site, right? Neither of which, my kids are more tech savvy than my mom.
Yeah, probably a little.
But that was absolutely something we wanted to make sure of that we achieved. This was not complicated. They could post things quickly. So that we achieved that. When people are walking through this process with their kids, we've got a list of charities. So in case somebody doesn't know what a certain charity does, they can click their promotional video, they can click their link and actually see, okay, they help out this type of people. Your dad was in the military. These people help out veterans. That may be something, a kid whose dad is, a first responder or a veteran. We've got charities to benefit them, like caregivers on the home front. That whole charity list is really cool to see, because then you start realizing, wow, there's a lot of issues going on right now that we're not talking about on the news.
A whole lot.
Other issues. It's it drives me nuts.
I know.
Especially when you get familiar with these charities, they're out there busting their to help out some causes that are going on 2 blocks from us. And we're caught up on the same issues that happen on January 6th or whatever. I won't even go. I won't even go there. But
no, I agree. I think that people need to expand their knowledge. I mean, my position is gone are the days that you can get all of your news on regular TV, that you need to be out on all different forms of social media. Because right now I feel like that we all need to be spreading the news of people living in the trenches, like your average people, your average Americans like us, that we're the ones that have the voice, and we need to speak out and tell about what's going on in the daily lives of people in Kansas City, Kansas, Missouri, the country, and be speaking out more about, like you mentioned, some charities that are have great causes, but nobody even knows about them because they're not important enough to be covered by local news or whatever. And that's our job, that if we see people that are in need, we need to be speaking out about that and bringing awareness to that.
And that's what we try to flesh out. So on every single post, even if it's a bicycle or a salt and pepper shaker, that serves as a small commercial for those charities. Because again, their promo videos embedded in that post. So kind of to your point, a lot of these charities don't have that marketing budget to do, a commercial in the middle of the Chiefs game or, on prime time. But we still need to get the word out about these great causes. Let's say people will forget the words of their enemies, but they'll remember the silence of their friends.
Yeah.
And, if you're a friend of a cause and you actually care about it, you have to kind of talk about it. If you don't talk about it, then you don't really care that much, right? Like I'm always talking about my dogs and my kids, and it's because I care about them, and my wife.
Yeah, don't forget her.
Can you hear me, babe? But you know what I'm saying? How do you say you actually care about something if you're not involved with it, right? If you truly care about it, the heart speaks through the mouth. So if the mouth isn't talking about it, it's not in your heart.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I do think too, I think there's good and bad with social media. I mean, it can be a really bad, people can be pretty tough behind their iPhone or their laptop or what have you, but there's a lot, where they say are bullies or they're mean to other people. But I think there's been a lot of good too, because it allows the masses, all of us, to have a voice. We all have a voice, but it allows us to get that to a wider variety of people in a quick amount of time. But I think, there's a lady that I want to bring on too, speaking of social media, and she helps coach parents about, helping them, monitoring their children on social media and the internet and the web, and, helping them to be mindful about how much time their children are spending, or what are they doing online, So I hope to bring her on here. I think I already have her scheduled, but yeah, back to that though. We do have a voice, and we need to be speaking out for those that really need help. I had a question. I can't think what I was going to say. Oh, I know. So are you pretty much, is your area that you run your business just kind of in the Kansas City metro, or are you a nationwide? Do you have nationwide coverage with this?
Yeah. So currently we're just wanting to establish Kansas City as our template city. I was born and raised here. That's where my roots are. And we really want to perfect this system and get to writing all of our charities big checks. So full transparency, the way that the Ripple makes money. Earlier you had mentioned that we are a charity. We're technically not a charity. We are an LLC.
Okay.
We keep 3% of everything that sells. So somebody sells something for $100, we get about $3. Everything's transacted through PayPal, and they have their fees that they charge. So they get 3.49% plus 49 cents a transaction. But long story short, about 90 to 94% of every sale goes to the charity that the seller selects.
Wow.
So the seller is the donor, and that's a huge percentage.
Probably a lot larger than most other charities, I would imagine, because they say a lot of the salaries for a lot of charities are the main part of the budget. I may be wrong there, but
it is nothing. It's actually pretty common for less than even 50% of some of these purchases to make it to charity. I get a lot of people say, "Oh, so you're like Amazon Smile." Somewhat. except for the fact that anything sold on Amazon Smile, it's 0.5% that goes to charity.
0.5%?
0.5. So I did the math. So to generate $1,000 for a charity, there needs to be about $21,000 in commerce done before you generate $1,000 for that charity. So with the Ripple, we just need to do about $1,100 in commerce to generate $1,000 donation.
Yeah, that's just a humongous difference. Like you can't even compare.
Yeah, and that's one of those things is we have to be mindful of where we're putting our money because Amazon. I'm not going to go into to anything about their business practices. Everybody can do their research and come up with their own results and opinion, but there are some phenomenal organizations that are not able to compete with these conglomerates because the masses are spending the money with with these big organizations to save a couple bucks. When in turn, if we're all kind of looking out for each other, we have to take care of each other that way.
Buy local. I mean, it goes back to supporting mom and pop. I mean, if I have a choice, I will buy from a local business if I can versus, I mean, don't get me wrong, I buy my share from Amazon. It's almost like every day you get home, like, what? I don't have a package sitting there. What is wrong?
Well, it's hard not to, but eventually we're not going to have an option, right?
Well, that's what scares me. That's what scares me a little bit.
What's that?
That's what scares me. They have all the control of everything.
Well, at the end of the day, we still have to click that button. We still have to, and I'm not knocking anybody. We have, I think we had about 65 packages show up last year. Once we got the little analytics or whatever that came over, I was like, hey, or it was our Ring doorbell. Somehow our Ring doorbell knew how many Amazon packages showed up. I was like, we had 65? Geez. So trust me.
No, it's bad. It's just, especially when everybody was like cooped up and couldn't go anywhere. It's like spending extravaganza because you're just bored, it's crazy. But no, I do try to buy local if I absolutely can, because we do need to support, local owned businesses because we small business employs a lot of people. We provide we help the economy keep going. And if that ends, I don't even know what's going to happen if small business isn't supported by government with proper laws that are positive towards small businesses. I mean, that's a whole nother topic, but small businesses employ more people than all the corporations do, believe it or not. So
and it should be that way. Any investor or anybody who's had a conversation about money and the economy knows that you need to diversify. Diversify your portfolio, right?
Right.
There's strength in numbers. If we only have one place to buy, from, or what if there's only one charity? A lot of these charities didn't weather the storm last year.
Didn't? Oh.
No. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but I can tell you I lost relationships with a lot of executive directors, a lot of well-known organizations that I won't name just out of respect for them. Absolutely are still in the weeds and trying to come out. And think about if we lose these organizations. There's not government agencies that handle everything. Essentially, the nonprofit sector is kind of a branch of the government. That's why a lot of these grants and things like that go out to them, because they're handling things that benefit the society, and they're the actual pros doing this stuff. So otherwise, if we don't take care of these nonprofits, we're going to have to rely on the government to provide on all these things. And I'd rather have a nonprofit taking care of me than,
because charities and small businesses like yours are going to operate much more efficiently than the government normally does. And then if the government takes all that over, then who pays for that? Taxes. So,
good catch.
Then we're all definitely going to be paying for it instead of doing it out of the goodness of our hearts, right? Just doing it because it's good to do that. It's good to help. Yeah.
Well, we all win. There are still situations in this world where everybody can win. There doesn't always have to be a loser in every single game, and that's one thing I'm really proud about. There's nothing that you can do on the Ripple where somebody gets well, I'll just say this, somebody gets screwed. Nobody gets, left out. The nonprofits get exposure and money. People are allowed to purge items a little more righteously. They're given a new cup to pour from. Somebody that wants to help out a charity doesn't have to give blood, time, or money anymore. They have new resources to pour from. That's a good thing. And then obviously everybody loves a bargain. So the entire process, everybody helps out. Heck, we even help the environment out. That wasn't even intentional. That was just a bonus. But it is one of those things that I'm super proud about. We all can help each other this way. We just need more people to know about it.
Right, exactly.
If people knew better, they would do better. And spreading the word, I'll tell you, that's been our biggest Achilles heel, because marketing is not cheap.
No, not at all. Yeah.
I was getting some budgets together for, $20,000. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can pull the trigger on this. So we have, a lot more commerce being done on here. The thing is, we really need people to be sharing this and using it.
Right.
Just go on there and get a good deal on something. Even when you buy something on there, you're making a difference. When you sell something on there, you're making a difference.
So whether you buy or sell, a portion of that transaction goes towards the charity of choice that was selected by the person who sold it on there, right?
The seller is the donor, so they get the tax receipt. And I just want to specify on that portion, because a lot of people say a portion is going to charity. 90 to 94% is going to charity. Right,
which is huge. I mean, that's like almost all of it. So I mean, that's amazing. I think that's wonderful.
I agree. But there's a lot of wonderful ideas out there that people aren't, pursuing. This is absolutely fully functional. This is something that everybody can benefit from a small business owner to a homemaker, to an executive director with a nonprofit looking for more exposure for their wonderful organization, to children, who are needing to learn about bigger issues in the world that aren't necessarily negative.
Right.
We want to expose our children to bigger issues, but so many of them are bad and scary, and we just don't want to teach them that. It's okay to teach our kids to give back and about the ripple effect of giving. I think it's a better world when we do that. And that's what we want to serve as a tool for.
Yeah, no, most definitely. I mean, it's just, and what's interesting is when I started, interviewing people, for my show to be guests, but I know you and I are not alone. I mean, the majority of people that I talk to are just feeling this calling to do something bigger, better than that. I wouldn't say themselves, but to really try to find their purpose, their calling. How can they help humanity right now? I just really found that interesting, that the more people I talk to, the more are just feeling that we all need to be doing more. How can we use our own talents and abilities to get out and raise our fellow man up, lend them a hand, just make us a better society, and I think more than ever, we need to come together. Because when we're together, we have more of us together, we're stronger that way than when we're separated and not caring about anybody. That is not the way, at all.
Well, we can't pour from empty cups. I mean, nobody can argue that. It takes a miracle, which, has happened.
Miracles happen now.
Yes. But where do we fill our cups up at? Right. And that's what I see society right now, is just everyone's cup is just getting drained and drained and drained. And it's like, we've got to figure out new positive ways to be recharged. There's so many other ways to get involved in nonprofit. I'm not saying that the Ripplenet is the new and end all be all. This is just a new tool to add to the belt. Ways that we can get involved in helping each other,
I think what I love about it, though, is that, you a lot of people may say, well, I just don't have any money to give. All right. But everybody has to have stuff in their house that they simply just don't want anymore. Just don't need anymore. And when you've got, and clutter, speaking of clutter, when you have clutter in your work environment, in your home environment, that actually increases stress levels and depression. Like it's healthier to go through your home and declutter and get rid of stuff that you just no longer use, just don't want, because it lightens the air, the feeling, the whole vibration. It will improve it in your home surroundings and make you happier in your home. So then if you can go get on Ripple and sell these items, donate them, whatever you want to do, that helps you, that helps people out there that may need your things. And you don't have to sit there and try to find the people, like do a whole garage sale and go to all that work, and it benefits everybody is my whole point.
Or just go on there and buy. We've had some amazing things sold on there. Some awesome patio heaters, pool tables, beautiful couches. There's been some awesome things on there. We've sold some concert tickets. Go on there and buy something. You're still helping to facilitate a donation. So that's one thing a lot of people just kind of put into a box is, well, you just go on there and sell things. Well, you can't have a sell if somebody doesn't buy it. So you're every bit as important to this donation when you go on there and buy things. So, it's we all have a different way to contribute. Maybe one week we're the buyer, next week we're the seller. At the end of the day, we are helping our nonprofits out. We're helping our mental health out. We're helping the environment out. It's something good to be involved in.
Yes.
Just got to do it.
Yeah, no, I'm really impressed, and I'm glad that you came on my show. I'm thrilled, and then I've learned so much about your organization because I'm thinking the wheels are turning. You get the wheels turning in my head. Look out! Woo! No, I can see a lot of ways that we could come up with items, to put on your site and do our part to help out and help those in need. Because I have a feeling this year is probably going to be a rough year. It's already been kind of rough, going through this winter. It's supposed to be a bad winter, I guess. With weather-wise. And then, I don't know. I think we get into the next year. Hopefully it'll be a better year. This year's been a little weird, but, people need people right now.
Yeah. Well, I know that we'll be chatting, and if anybody else wants to chat, I'm very easy to find on LinkedIn under Keith Custer. Check out theripple.net. Spend 5 minutes just getting familiar with the site. I promise it will click. It is very similar to a lot of other sites that we're using. There's nothing really too revolutionary here other than we're just working in the benefiting nonprofits. That's the big switch here. Otherwise, it's an online marketplace. But you can find me on Instagram under just Ripplenet, on LinkedIn at The Ripple, Facebook, The Ripple is the business sites, and then obviously Keith Custer under all those sites. And anybody who's maybe checked a couple boxes as they're listening that they have something they'd like to chat with me about, I would absolutely love to talk.
Do you do anything for like the upcoming holiday season? Do you do anything promotional? Like, is there something we could do even for like coats and gloves and hats or snow boots, or help people at charities, because gifts for kids that are their parents don't have money to give them gifts and things like that.
Yeah, so the things that we can do in person, we can do on the site just as easily. So if one of our charities wanted to do some sort of a coat drive, it's very easy to do. They would just need to let their supporters know, hey, go post some coats on the site. You do not have to meet up in person with the buyer and the seller. We do have some delivery options. I don't have a fleet of vans like Amazon does. But we use USPS, FedEx Ground, and then Uber Freight. For those of you that don't know, Uber is doing freight. So people are subcontracting pickup trucks,
I didn't know that.
Picking up their bed, running it across town. So we do have some delivery options too. So that's a great point. Giving Tuesday is coming up in November. That's one of the biggest philanthropic days of the year. Drives, like you said, sock drives, hygiene products. These are things that are extremely important, and they go quick with a lot of our organizations. So we could do those not only in person, but we can complement that by also doing it online. 24/7, 365, we can have opportunities to fill each other's cup or be poured into. Sometimes we're the one blessing the other. Sometimes we're the one that need the blessing.
Right.
This is a great, forum in a centralized location where everybody can get involved.
Do you, and now I also meant to ask you, do you have a warehouse or a storefront where you store items?
No, and we've had some great offerings for some beautiful office furniture for a company that was liquidating. I've had the opportunity to take on some vehicles. At this point, we don't have that. We are not trying to run a brick and mortar thrift store, which is kind of what it would turn into. The thought has absolutely crossed our mind, but at this point, no.
Okay. So, and you'll learn all that getting on ripple.net. That'll all be explained how this whole process works, and it's user friendly.
And so I didn't mean to cut you off there, Stephanie. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But right on our homepage, if any of this is still a little bit foggy, we've got a link to our YouTube channel. And so we've got about, 15 to 20 different tutorial videos.
Oh, okay.
So people want to check those out. I kept them short and sweet, 2 to 5 minutes every single video. So if you want to know, how the Ripple can help you with a garage sale, if you want to know how to do a coupon for professional service, if you want to know how to post something, I've got those tutorials on there for everybody on YouTube, The Ripple.
Okay. Well, perfect. Well, I just urge everybody who's watching or sees this in the future, just check out ripple.net. And I just thank you, Keith, for what you're doing to help local charities. And eventually, I hope this goes nationwide where you're helping hundreds and thousands of charities. And I so appreciate you coming on and being my guest today.
It was an absolute pleasure. So one thing I wanted to mix up, there's a few ripples out there. The Ripple.
The Ripple.
The Ripple.net. There is a Ripple.net and all different ways to spell it. So the Ripple, RIPPLE.net. And I thank you very much, Stephanie.
Yeah, thank you. It was a lot of fun. So I'll be in touch. I'm going to get on there myself and check it out over the weekend and get us signed up.
Cool.
Awesome.
I look forward to it.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.